Stations of KUAM, proud sponsor of the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts, Guam 2016. What we own, what we have, what we share, united voice of the Pacific.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&D.
KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia for over 75 years. Matson Navigation, proud sponsor of Festback 2016, Cars Plus, Dodge Challenger, the undisputed champion, IP&E, fueling excellence, McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, Pacific Solar, and Chuck E. Cheese's Guam, where all games are just one token.
It has now been 20 years since such talks were held in D.C. and coming up, the latest with efforts toward self-determination.
It is a done deal. GWA signs off on a $143 million bond issue.
And also on the show, we bring you the latest out of public health on the Zika virus. Afade Guam, if you're joining us on island or anywhere on our live YouTube stream throughout the world, good evening and thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Well, our island needs a fundamental change in strategy in order to achieve indigenous self-determination.
That was the message from University of Guam President Robert Underwood in a special panel discussion hosted by the Department of the Interior in the nation's capital. Nestor Lecanto reports.
The last time such discussions were held was more than 20 years ago when Underwood was the Guam delegate. He says it's been more than 40 years that Guam has been trying to get Congress to resolve the indigenous self-determination vote. He says it's time to change course.
Congress is a huge body with a lot of competing interests, and the territories are not big enough in the minds of individual members of Congress to present an initiative.
Instead, Underwood argues that the power of the White House is needed for transformational change to occur, just like how the Truman administration in 1950 paved the way for the Organic Act, Guam's de facto constitution.
I was arguing that whoever's president next has to present the initiative, which will be argued and debated and voted on in Congress. But to expect Congress to come up with a coherent plan is just not reasonable. And the new president says, I'm tired of the U.S. being called an imperialist nation. I'm presenting this approach to take the small territories out of our colonial relationship.
And just to be clear, should it reach Congress, Underwood asked legal representatives from the Interior and State Departments a key question.
Does Congress have the right to create an election whereby the indigenous people are voting? That's basically the sense of the question. And they said yes. And so, this kind of clears away the notion that, it's not saying that Congress will do that politically, maybe they won't, but it clears away the notion that territories cannot do those kinds of things.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
The Guam Waterworks Authority signed off on a new bond issue for another $143 million to spend on water and wastewater improvements. And all the utility is borrowing about $500 million through bonds to pay for the overhaul of Guam's aging system. Utilities Commission Chairman Joey Duenas spoke at today's signing ceremony.
I want to first of all recognize our ratepayers who are paying for all of this. They're the ones at the end of the day. And I think they are beginning to see the real fruits of all this investment that we continue to make. And we have some more investments that we need to make. We'll probably be borrowing one more time, and then that will be it.
The bond proceeds will pay for a number of capital improvement projects mandated in part by a federal consent decree dating back to 2003. Just minutes before this morning's bond signing, Acting Governor Ray Tenorio reminded the CCU to think of the islands less fortunate as it plans its rate increase to pay for the bond. Troy Torres is the governor's senior strategic planning advisor.
This is a cause to pause and rethink our strategy with Guam Power Authority and the energy strategy of the future. Investing $1 billion into what right now is an antiquated system, instead of looking at newer technologies and renewable and sustainable energy sources, it is something that we need to think about and have a community discussion about. And that's what the acting governor has brought up.
Adelut, meanwhile, acknowledges the hard work GWA has done over the past decade to improve the water and wastewater systems.
In other island news headlines, there is a temporary hold on GPA's plans to fix the Cabras 3 generator. While GPA says it has verbal approval from the insurer to proceed with an estimated $40 million in repairs, the Consolidated Commission on Utilities says it wants to see it in writing.
It's prudent to proceed, subject, of course, to finding out a clear indication from the insurance company that they will pay for the repair of Cabras 3 and will pay for the total loss of Cabras 4.
GPA wants to repair the explosion-damaged 40-megawatt Cabras 3 unit to replace the temporary Agreco baseload generators, which will become more expensive to run by the end of the year. Dueña says pushing back repairs is not ideal, but GPA still has some flexibility.
The highest peak we have is 255. And so if you're peaking at 255 and you have 390 plus megawatts of power, you're okay. You're not as good as you would like to be. You're not where you're going to be. In fact, I would say that until we build new generation, we're not going to really have the kind of GPA that we would like to have.
Representatives from the insurance company will be here in 2 weeks. Well, it was last night, of course, that we broke it to you first, and tonight we have the latest on Texas fugitive Anthony Castañeda. KUAM News has learned that although he was negotiating his surrender, he was picked up by the U.S. Marshals Service Fugitive Service Task Force on Tuesday. An ex parte hearing was held late this afternoon in presiding Judge Alberto Lamarena's courtroom, and according to court documents, the Attorney General's office contends that there is probable cause to believe Castañeda is a fugitive from the state of Texas, and that continued custody is warranted until a governor's warrant is issued. Once the Texas governor issues that warrant, the process of extradition will commence. Another hearing has been scheduled for March 21st at 10 a.m. before Superior Court Judge James Canto.
Governor DeCalvo's chief of staff is calling for an investigation into the University of Guam's handling of recent sexual assault and harassment allegations involving a professor. Today, Mark Calvo wrote to Vice Speaker B.J. Cruz, Senator Brent McCready, and UOG graduate student Rebecca Elmore, asking for an investigation into the way UOG has and is currently handling the case and whether any matters need remedy. The three were selected because of their known commitment to justice. In the letter, Calvo writes, quote, "We must consider that the appearance of impropriety, discouragement of reporting, deliberate indifference, or perception of a cover-up may have created an effect that discourages and intimidates students, staff, and faculty victims and witnesses of sex crimes from speaking up." It was last week when UOG held a public hearing on its draft policy on sexual misconduct. All the comments received from the public hearing will be presented to the Board of Regents for approval at a special meeting set for early March.
Well, island health officials continue to be on high alert for the Zika virus. This is Public Health does confirm that a patient coming in from the Marshall Islands will be on Guam and possibly tested for the virus. It's our next report with Ken Quintanilla.
The Zika virus has been declared a public health emergency of international concern by the World Health Organization.
It's a very difficult situation.
And from the difficulty of diagnosis to how Guam should handle the disease, Department of Public Health Director James Gillen says it's a situation he is taking seriously, especially as someone will be coming to Guam from an island recently confirmed to have at least one case of the virus.
So we know that we have a patient coming in from Majuro, where there is one case of Zika, and will probably be tested, but that's all I can tell you.
Gillen could not confirm whether the patient was pregnant or if the patient is a resident of Guam returning from a trip from the Marshall Islands. Gillen says the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, prevents him from providing any specific details. In the meantime, when it comes to actual testing, Gillen admits his agency does not have the rapid test kits.
But right now, they'll do a blood sample. We'll get it, we'll collect it, we'll freeze it, we'll send it to the Hawaii State Lab. Okay, you'll get about a 5-day turnaround, which is still enough time. I mean, depending upon where the mom is in her term, in her pregnancy, then the decision is going to have to be made by the mom. And I think this is going to be the real concern is where people do test positive, what their choices are going to be about what they want to do with that.
Gillen adds Public Health does have 2 members from the Centers for Disease Control who work on Guam with the department. He adds Public Health is working with other physicians in trying to assess the virus here on Guam, including Dr. Tom Shea. He will be in Hawaii this week and will be talking with Dr. Greg Hirata, a double board certified in maternal fetal medicine and genetics. Dr. Hirata will be on Guam in 2 weeks as a way to spread awareness and education about the virus. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Ken Quintanilla.
All right, Guam, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but still to come when we return, the Election Commission prepares for online voter registration.
And later, Chris Barnett takes us to the airport to welcome home the Guam women's national rugby team. Stay tuned. You are watching KUAM.
Stay connected to the world at home from everywhere you are. Get the KUAM News app for the latest in local news, videos, sports, streaming, Isla 63 AM, weather, and more. Available for free now at the iTunes App Store or Google Play.
Congratulations! Just won! I did! You too can win in Calvo's Insurance Ride Your Dreams giveaway. If you are a Calvo's Insurance home or personal auto customer, you qualify to enter by texting LOYAL to 2015. And if you need an insurance quote, text quote to 2015 for a chance to win in our grocery giveaway. Thank you, Guam, for placing your trust in Calvo's. Insure with Calvo's today and ride your dreams to reality.
Get ready. It's time to party, to rally, to run in paradise. 5K, 10K, half marathon, and full marathon. All the fun in one great run, in one great half-a-day experience. Register today for the Guam International Marathon on April 10th.
It's Triple J Auto Group's Drive Now and Pay Later event going on now. Buy the car of your dreams and make no payment for 90 days. Get in an all-new Honda, Acura, Ford, Mazda, Lincoln, Volvo, or Kia and pay nothing for 3 months unapproved credit. Plus, we've got unbelievable savings in all remaining 2015s and many 2016. Now's the time to buy during Triple J's Drive Now, Pay Later event. Visit us online at carsguam.com and get pre-approved instantly. Download our free app on Apple and Google stores. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J Auto Group. Customers first.
Follow KUAM News on Twitter or become a fan on Facebook to get all your daily headlines from Guam's News Network.
Well, it's now been nearly a year since it was signed into law, and it appears the GEC is close to actually starting online registration for local voters. Agency Executive Director Maria Pangilinan says that she and her staff have been meeting with the Division of Motor Vehicles to begin online registration as soon as next week.
For anybody that has a current valid Guam ID or a Guam driver's license issued by Division of Motor Vehicle, they would be able to register online off our website.
Pangilinan says she hopes online registration will help attract younger voters to register and possibly participate in this year's election. She plans to present a demo of the registration system to commissioners at tomorrow's meeting.
Gloria Long has been hired as the Judiciary of Guam's new Procurement and Facilities Management Administrator. Long heads to the court after her nearly 3-year stint as Chief Operating Officer of the Guam Regional Medical City. Long has extensive experience in project management and facilities planning, as well as procurement and contracting. She served in multiple leadership roles on the mainland and as well as at the Guam Memorial Hospital. From 1986 to 2000, she served as Chief Planner and Assistant Administrator for Administrative Services at GMH. Motorists should want to take note. A massive recall is underway for Takata Airbags. Instead of saving lives, the airbags shoot metal fragments into vehicle occupants. Millions of cars in the United States from nearly 24 brands are affected, and you'll want to follow up with your dealership. According to Nissan Service Manager Dan Aponic, Nissan is sending out mailers to affected vehicle owners on file. He says the parts are in stock and will be replaced free of charge. He does warn, however, the recall is expanded to older models. If you buy your car used, you won't be getting a mailer. You can log on to the manufacturer's website or safercar.gov, type in your car's vehicle identification number, which can be found on the dashboard, the door jamb, or your car registration to see if your car is affected. As Cope North begins to wind down, going inside the belly of the B-52 bomber, the island community was invited for an up-close look at some of the military's most secret aircraft. Amy Forsyth reports from Anderson Air Force Base.
Selfie sticks were out as thousands flocked to an open house and air show on Anderson Air Force Base on Guam February 20th. all getting a chance for an up-close look and photos with aircraft and crew.
The community's hearing the jets go by, they're seeing everything going on. This gives them an opportunity to experience some of it firsthand.
Military planners are expecting up to 15,000 in attendance today, further strengthening ties with the community in Guam. Also not bad for recruiting, planting the seed in young kids who might want to join the military one day.
Like these teenagers who are junior ROTC cadets who came out today to see the B-52 bomber. Others came to see the military working dog demonstration and fighter jet flyovers.
The sound of freedom. Loving it. When we heard that there was going to be an open house here at Anderson, we scheduled our trip to Guam for the first time so that we could come to this open house.
The open house and air show was planned in conjunction with the annual COPE North exercise, where more than 3,000 uniform members, plus various aircraft from Japan and Australia, worked together for more than 2 weeks in the air and on the ground.
So working with our regional partners through COPE North is a great opportunity to see how they do their maintenance and their business, and to work with interoperable activities with them so we can all learn and contribute more actively in the future.
Reporting from Anderson Air Force Base, I'm Amy Forsyth.
Thanks so much, Amy. In other news, the second of 3 Imagine Guam conventions is set for this Friday. The first such event last month brought together over 100 people from different cross-sections of the community to develop a vision of Guam 50 years from now. Imagine Guam Steering Committee Chairman Troy Torres explains what will be discussed.
Now we're going to come back to the table, consider all the public input into that draft Vision of Guam 2065 that you can read on imagine.guam.gov, and then finalize that, and then in the afternoon start building these 10-year interval bridges to 2065, basically benchmarks in the vision. Well, what does Guam look like in 2025, 35, 2045, and 2055?
The convention is set for Friday from 8 to 5 at the Dusatani Resort Guam. Torres says the conventions are made possible by sponsorships through GITA, the airport, the Department of Labor, and various companies in Guam's private sector.
Invasive species is everyone's responsibility. That is the theme for Invasive Species Awareness Week, being celebrated this week. A proclamation signing was held today to remind residents that we all play a role in controlling and eradicating the pests which negatively impact the economy, environment, and even human health. Here at KUAM, we're doing our part to raise awareness with a daily feature on an invasive species and what you can do to help the cause.
Well, they are wreaking havoc on Guam's ecosystem and they're barely visible to the naked eye. What are we talking about? Crystal Paco continues a special series with conjunction of Invasive Species Week. And tonight we take a look at the little fire ant.
Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there.
They're almost like dust, and they're reddish, orange. It's hard to fully tell just by the naked eye.
Department of Agriculture wildlife biologist Julie Due is talking about the little fire ant, one of the latest additions to Guam's growing list of invasive species. The little bugs pack a mean bite for humans and can leave livestock and pets blind.
If you get bit, it'll feel like it's like a burning feeling. You'll have little sores. It depends. If you have an allergic reaction to the ant bite, you'll have you'll get hives. That's kind of rare, but like usually it's just like you get like a burning feeling all over. And it's not one ant that bites you at a time. Usually it's like hundreds at a time.
The LFA was first discovered on Guam nearly 5 years ago, up north at Primo Hardfill in Jigo. Today, there are 22 discrete sites affected by LFA. According to Due, though they move slow, they're making their presence known island-wide as they spread when residents transport plants like bananas and coconuts. But how do you know if your yard has a case of the little fire ant? Lure the little bugs with peanut butter.
So you just take a chopstick or any kind of stick and you put a little bit of peanut butter on it and you leave it there for about an hour, and then you collect it, you put it in the freezer in a Ziploc bag, and you can bring it into our department or you can bring it into the University of Guam and we'll tell you if you really have little fire ants.
If you identify the LFA, you can use a squirt bottle with ingredients like peanut butter, oil, water, and xanthan gum to attack the queen and then the worker ants. So far, Due reports their pilot projects are proving successful.
It's looking really good. We're really excited to really expand our projects and help different areas on Guam.
So what's next? Guam is adapting Hawaii's methods for eradication.
What we also want to adapt from Hawaii is their outreach program, where the residents are in charge of controlling the little fire ants in their property. And I think if all of the residents on Guam team up and try to like eradicate it in each of their own property, we'll have a better result.
If you want more information on the little fire ant, visit littlefireants.com. If you suspect you have an LFA problem at your home, call 475-PEST. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Crystal Paco.
Stay tuned, everybody. Chris Barnett continues his special duties as sports anchor. He's coming up next.
Plus later, Issa Baza has Think Green. Stay tuned.
Introducing the new unlimited LTE data plan from GTA. Get unlimited data with no throttling on GTA's LTE network. Unlimited calls and texts, including calls to the U.S. for only $90 per month. Just another example of GTA's commitment to providing you the best. Visit gta.net/unlimited LTE for details.
Don't wait. If you've been thinking about buying your next vehicle, now is the time. Hundreds of brand new Hyundais, Dodges, Chryslers, Jeeps, Rams, and Fiat. Plus, quality used vehicles are all priced to move during Cars Plus massive markdown tent sale. Going on now through Monday in My Team. From the asphalt to the mud trails, we've got you covered. On-the-spot financing available. But you gotta hurry. This sale absolutely ends Monday, February 29th. It's a massive markdowns tent sale. Going on now at Cars Plus and My Team. Cars Plus, driven by you.
Ruby Tuesday now gives you more for lunch. Endless trips to the Fresh Garden Bar, plus add-ons, mini combinations, and even new meal options. It's the new lunchtime menu, available Monday to Friday until 2 p.m., only at Ruby Tuesday.
I am Takwina.
I'm a baller.
I'm a golfer.
I'm swimmer.
Hey, neighbor.
We are parents of an athlete.
I am a coach.
We are volunteers.
Let me win. Can I win?
Let me be brave in the attempt.
Make a difference in an athlete's life. Be a part of Special Olympics Guam. Keep our dreams alive.
Get involved today.
What's that?
What? That? A hat? Do you like my hat?
No, that. They're towing our car.
We have gone so far.
What's going on?
We can't afford to have it fixed because it's out of warranty.
Stop making excuses. Trade in your car at Guam Auto Spot for a brand new Mitsubishi Lancer with a 5-year, 60,000-mile warranty. Make us an offer. Fill in the blank. What's your payment?
Hapaday Guam, Chris Barnett sitting in for the one and only and vacationing Dave Delgado. And once again, a big, huge show for you tonight. I mean, it's like this big. Coming up, PXC 52 preview. But first, let's kick it off with the lovely ladies of Guam National Women's Rugby right now. It was a warm half-a-day welcome home for the Guam women's national rugby team as the ladies, who battled much bigger countries to represent our tiny little island in Chennai, India, finally found themselves back in the 6-7-1. Here's team captain Olivia Flores.
So we just won second place in a very hard-fought game that went into overtime in the Asia Rugby Sevens tournament in Chennai, India. We battled with South Korea to get into the finals, and then we played them again in the final game.
Friends and family turned out to help usher in a new era in women's rugby and to celebrate this historic win for Guam.
This is the first time we've ever placed in a final, got into the final, and then actually placed first or second. And it's the first trophy we've ever got.
So once again, congratulations to the national women's rugby team. And before they headed home, they had this special message for the people of Guam.
We got this, Guam!
And now on to PXC 52, where we profile a young fighter's pro debut. The young gun is locked and loaded for PXC 52. Jose the Young Gun Ramirez makes his PXC debut Friday, March 18th against Robin Eclavea at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. Eclavea and Ramirez will square off at 145 pounds and the two are no strangers to each other's fight style.
I used to train with him. You know, he was a former training partner. He's good. He's good in stand-up. So that's all I can say. At his ground game, I watched him in the Philippines. He's good. He didn't get submitted, but yeah, we're going to bring the heat. It's going to be a stand-up war.
A stand-up war is exactly what Ramirez wants. And although he does train on ground fighting, he prefers to let his hands do the talking.
I trust my hands in this fight game. You know, a lot of people, all I see is they like to take down, hug. You know, I'm there to give the crowd a fight. You know, I'm not there to come here and play huggy, kissy with you. I'm there to fight. So, you know, you're going to see me. My hands are going to go. My feet are going to go. Wherever it goes, you know, just expect that my hands will not stop.
The confident young gun has a game plan for Fight Night Friday. Get in and get out.
You know, don't blink. I just come out explosive. I don't waste time in the cage. I always try to get in there, finish first round, get out. If it goes the distance, you know, my cardio is always there to back me up.
As for what motivates Ramirez, he says haters and trash talking only get him more fired up.
Yeah, I like people that come to the weigh-ins all cocky and, you know, it just hypes me up and just sets me for the day, for the next day. I just come in there to blow up and, you know, just look them straight in the eye and say, I'm here for this fight and there's nothing in your power or will to come and stop me.
Will there be shots fired from the young gun, or will he be silenced by his opponent? Only time will tell. PXC 52 at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. Me personally, I feel like the world needs more huggy kissy. Remember, anything sports, malfunction at KUAM.com, and be sure to join us next time where we're going to be just stacks and stacks of double AG boys basketball. That's next time right here on KUAM Sports. Once again, for the one and only and vacationing Dave Delgado, my name is Chris Barnett. Adios.
This is iPhone 6s. Not much has changed, except it feels different. Now you press lightly to peek and deeper to pop. It changes how easily you can peek a flight, check a post, search for dinner. Ooh, you guys are gonna love that place. You can find a getaway easier. Yeah, go there. And find music easier. Wait, are you listening to your own song?
No, I was, hello?
So pretty much everything you do feels different. And that's what's changed.
Welcome to Nissan Sign and Drive event. No money down. All we need is your signature and drive away. And we'll make your first payment. Get it done in the tough and dependable Frontier Crew Cab, just $23,969. Solid to the core, mid-size truck, full-size work. Nissan Frontier Crew Cab, and your first payment's on us. There's more great deals on the full line of Nissan cars, trucks, and SUVs, so start the new year right with a free car payment from Nissan. See your favorite salesperson for details at Nissan Guam.
Road again, moving on forward. 6 stones won't break a bones. We're in the car on a highway. It's a magical feeling that no one's got a home. You're a catalyst to your happiness, you know. This is your home, it's your life, it's what we've done. In a whole wide world is supposed to live. This is your
favorites will always be here. But this one won't last long.
McDonald's Filet-O-Fish is perfect for Lent. Get it with fries and a drink for only $5.99 for a limited time.
Well, it's now been almost a decade since Guam was introduced to its first solar net-metered house, but technology quickly advanced, as it's so prone to do. And today, the island has its first solar house of the future. Isa Baza heads to Barragata Heights for this week's Think Green.
Think Green is presented by Pacific Solar and Photovoltaics, keeping Guam green one roof at a time. Call 632-4002 for more information.
It's a home tucked away in central Guam that can utilize diversified sources of power generation. It can use energy produced by the Guam Power Authority, solar photovoltaics, and even battery backup. All these different sources of power work in unison and can be controlled by one operator, the Outback Radian, a brand that has been taking homes off the grid since the late 70s. This all-in-one battery backup solution can now be found here in Guam. The Outback Radian can back up a home's power for up to 24 hours a day. The product's performance is currently being demonstrated at Guam's first solar house of the future, which is operated by Pacific Solar and Photovoltaics at a home in Barragata Heights. Aside from Outback Radian battery and control, the house also integrates energy-efficient appliances. It can operate both on and off the grid and can even transition seamlessly between the two. The home can also connect the power it produces and stores to a small generator. Every single day, Earth receives enough energy from the sun to power the entire planet for 365 days, or 1 year. The problem has always been capturing and storing that energy so it can be used. Battery storage is a solution. As these systems become more accessible to the average consumer, implementing battery storage into new photovoltaic designs and implementing complementary additions to existing photovoltaic systems will be the key to capturing the sun's clean energy without further polluting the world. For more information about the solar home of the future, you can contact Pacific Solar and Photovoltaics at 632-4002. With this week's Think Green, I'm Isa Baza.
Think Green is presented by Pacific Solar and Photovoltaics, keeping Guam green one roof at a time. Call 632-4002 for more information.
All right, our lovely camera girl Megan said this is her weather, so hey, we're just following directions here. Tonight we have mostly cloudy skies with isolated showers. Winds are coming from the east at 10 to 15 miles per hour, lows near 76. Is that all right, Megan? All right. Thursday, partly sunny skies with isolated showers. East winds 15 to 20 miles per hour, highs near 87, lows near 77. She is giving me quite the stink eye, which you can't see, and we're probably better off for that. But we have positive news with the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
And here are the latest members. Happy birthday going out to Dwayne Santiago Kenga. May you enjoy a special day. Love coming from your girlfriend Angela and your family.
Now you can put nicknames, and we highly encourage you to. Alyssa Kiachai has a birthday today, but her friends say happy birthday, Allie, and we love you.
Happy birthday to Irene Mesa. Love the familia.
It is a happy first birthday for this little darling. This is Amelia Grace Cruz Santos. Love mommy, daddy, Sean, and the entire family.
And happy birthday to Angela Verdalio.
All right, everybody. Go online to KUAM.com and register your birthday celebrant and tune in. But one event only happens every 4 years. And of course, when we say that in the month of February, we're talking about leap year. And because of this, KUAM, along with our friends at Cold Stone Creamery, want to recognize Guam's leap year babies. Now, if you know someone that was born, email birthdayclub@kuam.com with the name, age, and birthday of your celebrant, along with a picture. All leap year babies are invited. They'll receive a birthday treat from Cold Stone Creamery and will be featured on KUAM News, I-94, as well as our social media platforms on Leap Day Monday. Do you know anybody that was born on February 29th?
No, I don't. Do you?
Yeah, we know Marie's mom.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah. Ooh, somebody's going to get it. Stay tuned, because at least one of us will be back for tomorrow. See who that is. Tune in tomorrow, but stay tuned because we got a good show. The buzz is next.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&E.
The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Welcome to this edition of The Buzz. My good friend, Dr. Ron McNitch, is my in-studio guest again this evening. Thank you, Doc, for taking 3 weeks out of your time to be with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tonight, I want to talk about elections. We're in election year 2016, locally, nationally.
Sure.
I'll be surprised if you haven't taken any polls at this point, issues and all that. But anyway, 2016, how's it looking like in our local side, local elections? It's not a gubernatorial election; it's a senatorial election, as well as a mayoral election, and all the other boards and I guess boards that are going to be up for election. So, what does it look like for 2016?
Sure.
Guam style.
In general, we have 15 senators coming up. In all else equal, at least 12 of the 15 will be reelected. You know, that's the general trend. We might switch 2 to 3. Most of them will be reelected, and so I don't see really a lot of change happening in the legislature. I don't see a lot of shuffling around going on. The pay issue was a false concern. People weren't as angry about the pay issue as some people wanted the senators to think that it was. It wasn't that big of an issue at all. People are far more concerned about other important policy issues like education, healthcare, and the economy.
But let me ask you, Doc, because the pay issue. Now, if you go back to November, public hearing on again rolling back the pay raises, you know, it didn't get anywhere in the sense they voted it down. It didn't go anywhere. Recently, a few weeks ago, of course, they passed they passed the bill in regards to well, we didn't realize, now we realize. You know, and I'm thinking, well, as soon as 2016 came about, so when you're saying it's not really a big issue, but they seem to think it's a big issue because now you had some transformations in regards to a change of stance, because they're saying, we didn't realize we were in this economic situation. We just did. When the administration came to us and said, there's a shortfall based on of lump sum payment paid to the 13 million to the retirees. So here again, it's like election year. You have a couple changes. It passed, and so obviously some are thinking on re-election, and how they're not be able to remove themselves from that.
Sure. I think though that how can I say it? The pay issue exists only if they believe it exists. And what I mean by that is we can go back 20 years and let's find a year when people are not dissatisfied about where money is spent or how it's spent, or views that people feel that we don't have enough money or that we're not apportioning money correctly. And there are all these disputes that related to that. My point for that is it doesn't matter the year. There's always going to be the issue that we're not spending money the way we should be spending money. Politics is about who gets what, when, and how. And there's no better political issue than a pay issue because it deals with who in the legislature or executive branch gets the amount of money for doing what they're supposed to be doing. I think, though, that this is a non-issue politically. I don't think that the public really cares about the issue from all indications. I don't think that, and particularly relative to other important issues, the public would wish that our leaders would concentrate on, that they're not doing because of this pay issue and this very small number of very vocal people who want to make a public issue out of it.
And now, this is midterm basically here. This is again for the legislature and mayoral, but you have a new, I think is a new Democratic chairman. I think Keen Paris is the new Democratic chair for the Democratic Party, of course. Now, as a midterm election, they're going to gear up to get ready for 2 years from now, the gubernatorial election. They're going to try to get as many. If they try to retain the majority in the legislature, if not get a super majority, maintain what they have at this point. They're going to try to get back the mayoral seats because the majority of the mayors at this point in Guam are Republicans. So they're going to try to do that to be able to again get control of ADLU, which the Democrats haven't had control of in 16 years, right?
Sure.
So 16 would be 16 years at the time. What do both parties have to do again what do the Republicans need to do to try to gain the majority in the legislature and retain ADLU? And what does the Democrat have to do to retain its majority and likewise, try to get into Adelup.
Sure. There's a thing in my field of public administration, we call it functionalism. It's almost doing like math. And if you look at the majority in the Guam legislature, the Democrat majority in the Guam legislature is largely a function of 16 years of Republican governors. Because what happens is all of the talent is drawn into the Republican administration, and then everybody who's a Democrat who feels they have talent have nowhere to go except get elected to the legislature. And they don't want to, God forbid, become a mayor because that works too hard. So they want political jobs in the legislature because it's a fairly easy job and it's a high status job and there's not a lot of hard work attached to it. And so we have a Democrat legislature because we have had Republican governors for so long, and we're going to probably, all else equal, if things pan out the way they look like they're going to pan out, the next majority is going to be a Democrat legislature also. In order for the Republicans to make a dent in the legislature, it may sound counterintuitive, but the technique is very, very simple. You just hire more Democrats into elite Adelup jobs, which then pulls the talent base away from the Democrats and ties them up just as the Republicans are tied up, and that makes the legislature more competitive.
But let me ask you this. That being said, because I know quite a few, actually, some of them were my former staff who were Democrats who are now working in the administration, and they didn't change to Republican. They're still Democrats. Now, of course, after the Calvo Tenor administration, wouldn't some of them be courted back by, because you have, again, the established Democrats, Keem Paris is an established Democrat. And so Berdaliocrat, okay? Wouldn't that establishment, and again, most of the people that I know that work for the administration were Berdaliocrats as well. Now, wouldn't that establishment try to bring them back home to come back home? We'll welcome you with open arms. I mean, look at Mike Phillips. He'll never admit he's changed. He's always a Democrat, but man, he's doing more for the Republican administration than he did for a Democrat administration. So they'll go back home, would you think?
Well, there is a key distinction, though, that's very, very important to make. There are Democrat and Republican bureaucrats who do very critical technical or support roles that are merit-based. It's almost because they have these skills, they're in these positions. You don't find unskilled Democrats and Republicans doing technical jobs in our government. What this means, though, I guess the people I'm talking about that the Republicans kind of sort of need to raid are the ones that are in political office just because they're politicians and they don't have any other skills. So in order to shake the Democrats out of the legislative majority, you actually have to raid people from the legislature who really don't have any skills, and you don't want them anyway to pull them into the administration. And that's a hard thing to do, obviously. And by the way, there's unskilled Republicans and Democrats. I'm not just bashing
you're making us feel real confident in our government there, Doc.
But that's how government is. In fact, most politicians, particularly in the legislature, rely almost solely and exclusively on their staff. And their staff are very competent. And the ones who get elected often, get elected because they're nice people. And that's about it. I mean, there's, and I don't mean to sound overly critical, but if I'll tell you, the governor's side is entirely different. It's a tough, technical job, and you got to have technical skills to be governor. But the legislative side, it's a little bit more fuzzy-wuzzy in terms of who it takes and what it takes.
Well, now you got me. Now you're.
And no offense, by the way.
No. Now you're having me change the definition of what an unskilled worker is. I was an unskilled worker. I used to be an unskilled worker. Be right back.
This program is brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.
Sunday barbecues are better when there's more than enough bandwidth to share. Sign up for GTA Fiber to the Neighborhood today and enjoy faster internet on more devices. GTA, your island, your faster fiber network.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Blacksmithing, precise, essential, timeless, forging its place in history from one generation to another. Molding, shaping, transforming the ordinary into art. Each strike, each spark ignites a story of who I am, who we were, and who we are as a community, as Pacific Islanders. At the 2016 Festival of Pacific Arts,
we will share our story.
The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
My studio guest, Doc Ron McNitch. 2016 elections, boy, that was funny, as an unskilled worker. So a new definition to that. We don't have to bring any more H2 workers out here. We have, well, no, but they're skilled workers. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, Doc, national elections.
Sure.
How would, a couple weeks ago, the governor endorsed Senator Ted Cruz to be the nominee. He said he's going to work hard to try to get all nine Republican conventional votes to sway over to Senator Cruz's camp for nomination to that. Now, but when I'm looking at this, okay, and I'm kind of critical of this. I myself personally, I'm a Marco Rubio guy. Okay. Now, when I'm looking at this, when I hear Ted Cruz and his representative is here in Guam, sat on my show, we talked to him and he told us, I mean, there's not going to be one representative who's not going to tell us everything we want to hear, during election time. He told us everything. I mean, gee, I asked for a sticker right then and there because he told me everything I wanted to hear. But reality sets in, and we said, we've heard this before. We're talking about a strict constitutionalist, right? I'm going, man, they always mess us up because, again, they said, well, the Constitution really wasn't crafted for you guys. There was an amendment to the Constitution to make you constitutional. I mean, you're not constitutional citizens. So I'm saying a strict constitutionalist may not be as good, and has been proven hasn't been as good for Guam as we thought. Although we have maybe the same ideals, those are the ideals nationally doesn't necessarily apply to the territories. Your thoughts?
Sure. Well, first, I think that the governor made the Washington Post by endorsing Ted Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Great move for Guam. Shows that we matter.
Mm-hmm.
It got us in the national media.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important that we endorse national candidates and participate in national politics. And there's a point, though, that I always remind everyone about how the federal government treats Guam or how the federal government treats territories. If you go back and study the history of all 37 U.S. territories that later became states, and we have some that didn't become states. For example, the Philippines was a commonwealth and it became an independent country. You study all of those jurisdictions and how the federal government treated them or acted towards them. They were all a bunch of hicks and hillbillies and really given the puzzle palace voodoo treatment by Washington, D.C. There's nothing about that that's ever changed. People who live in territories are always viewed as being backward or behind the times or not worthy of statehood, or every single territory is treated like that. Our goal as citizens of a U.S. territory is to change that view and to show that this, is not we're not backward. We are not unsophisticated. We understand the language of governance. We understand the process. And I got to say, I don't think, at least in the current context, I don't think that a person who's born on Guam is any different than any other U.S. citizen constitutionally. I know people will try to cite the insular cases, or they'll try to cite other examples to show why we're different. I just simply don't agree with it in the current context. The same U.S. Supreme Court justices that wrote the insular cases wrote Plessy versus Ferguson, which said you can separate the races and separate but equal. Same group of guys who did Plessy versus Ferguson addressed the insular cases. And so my point is, maybe times have changed, but the courts haven't changed their opinions on these things.
And now let me ask you this, because Trump was making a big thing out of this about Ted Cruz, about not being a U.S. citizen, not being eligible to run for president because of his birthplace was in Canada, although his mom was a U.S. citizen, and so by birthright, I mean, that was all settled, I guess, in regards to his qualification. Now let me ask you, let's switch that. Say he wasn't born in Canada, but he was born in Guam, not necessarily. Well, I mean, he's born in Guam, and okay. And so that being said, he's born in U.S. territory. He gets a U.S. citizenship like everybody else who's born in Guam, even if their parents were not U.S. citizens, but that particular person that maybe was born in Guam. So if he was born in Guam, and again running, and of course the caucuses and different primaries throughout the state, will Trump have a cause to be concerned because he was born in Guam?
Well, I think that politicians will make political hay out of anything they think that will appeal to people. I think Ted Cruz is completely eligible to run for U.S. president. John McCain was born in the Panama Canal zone.
Yeah.
That wasn't a U.S.
Sure.
In fact, that's an excellent point. Panama Canal zone was the exact same status as Guam had.
Yeah.
And also, McCain was born of U.S. parents. Ted Cruz, his mother was a U.S. citizen, and I think that anyone trying to make this is a kind of, I view this as an extension of what's commonly called in the United States the birther argument that related to the Obama, whether Obama was actually born in Hawaii or not.
Okay.
And that's fine. It appeals to a certain fringe, crazy, radical division of the Republican Party and let them have their mini universe views on these things.
So, okay, if I wanted to run for president as being born here in Guam, would I be eligible if I moved back to the States and run?
I think you could run for U.S. president directly from here.
From here.
You wouldn't have to go anywhere because you're in the United States.
But if Trump runs, he'll use that against me, right?
Of course. Any politician will use any technique that I hate to say it, but in politics, there's an old saying, if it's worth fighting for, it's worth fighting dirty for. And so there's a lot of politicians who will do all kinds of dirty tricks to get themselves elected or to stay in office.
National issues versus local issues. Where do we have commonality?
Local is national, national is local. The exact same things, by and large, that affect Guam affect the rest of the United States. And we're affected, whether we know it or not, by these national things going on. When 911 happened, that wasn't a U.S. mainland thing. That was a Guam thing, too. So national is local. We have our issues here that need attention, and they have national boundaries and national processes to deal with them. And I think that what Guam needs, and I've said this over and over again, is just simply to ask Congress to allow our delegate to the House of Representatives to be our delegate to the U.S. Congress. So then our delegate can advise the U.S. Senate also. Because really we only have one of the two houses, a voice in one of the two houses. We need to have them in both houses because that's where we lose out nationally on national policy.
So looking forward, who do you think eventually will be the Democrat nominee for president? And who do you think will be the Republican nominee for presidency? Who do you think, who would go against each other? In Ron McNich's polls and all that, who do you think will be the nominees?
The four big names that everyone's talked about for the last several months on the Democrat side is Clinton versus Sanders, those two. And on the Republican side, of course, is Trump versus Cruz. And so what's going to end up happening is one of two things. Either those two pairs are going to run together, or if they lead, they're going to pick a second to run with them as vice president. Just as we have our governor and lieutenant governors run together, there's going to be a second. if Trump wins, very likely he would join with probably somebody like Cruz or Rubio. If Cruz won and he wanted to really make a statement, he would choose Trump, just as Ronald Reagan chose Bush, who was his major critic in 1980. George Bush coined the term voodoo economics for Reagan's ideas about how to change the economy. So there's some interesting pairings that can be made. And so, but again, I forgot my Magic 8 Ball today, so I can't really.
You can't do it there, but we'll talk about that as we get closer. Okay.
Yes.
Be right back. Pay some bills.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Mas.
Smiling is a natural response to joy, happiness, and excitement. Your smile reveals a lot about who you are. A healthy, beautiful smile can brighten your appearance and be an invitation to conversation and friendship. It is often one of the first things people notice about you. Now, thanks to the advancements in dentistry, you can have the smile you have always wanted, giving you an improved smile that looks and feels great.
My silver fillings that I have, they're getting older in my mouth and I need to replace them. So I've started to do that and I've replaced them with the white fillings and I've had really great success with that. It looks good, they feel natural, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the bleaching. I want a white look all around my mouth.
When you come to Chuck E. Cheese's, you can see what's new.
New fun! New games! New cousins!
What's new?
New awesomeness!
Where a kid can't be a kid.
Don't wait. If you've been thinking about buying your next vehicle, now is the time. Hundreds of brand new Hyundais, Dodges, Chryslers, Jeeps, Rams, and Fiat. Plus, quality used vehicles are all priced to move during Cars Plus massive markdown tent sale. Going on now through Monday in Mighty. From the asphalt to the mud trails, we've got you covered. On-the-spot financing available. But you gotta hurry. This sale absolutely ends Monday, February 29th. It's a massive markdowns tent sale. Going on now at Cars Plus and Mighty. Cars Plus, driven by you.
The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Doc McNitch is my in-studio guest tonight. And Doc, so 2016, was it looking like legislature? Of course, I can predict there'll be 15 senators elected, okay? But what do you think the makeup is going to be? Is it going to be 9-6 Democrat, 9-6 Republican? How do you think that makeup's going to be? Is it going to be 8-7? How do you think that is going to...
Well, it could be 8-7 either way, but I tend to believe because of the brain drain toward Adelup for the Republicans, it'll remain a Democrat legislature, all else equal. But you can never tell. I mean, there have been instances when the Republicans have taken the legislature when there's a Republican governor and so on. And so I think that in general, that's one aspect. The legislature also is going to have to start demonstrating that they can actually get things done. And that's what they haven't been very good at. I have to tell you, if Guam wanted to have true legislative reform, we'd go back to 21 senators. Because right now we don't have enough voices to express the variety of opinions that adequately represent our community. 15 just doesn't do it.
In your estimation here, again, how the finishers finished last year. If you were number 15, if you're the lowest hanging fruit there, are you more susceptible then to be the one picked out by the other party, or does it start anew? What happens?
I think every cycle starts over again, and a person who was 15th or 14th or 13th could be in the top 5, and then a person in the top 5 could drop down to the bottom or out, and we've seen that happen many times.
Main issue, what number one issue people are talking about and very concerned on the local side?
I think in particular it's probably the economy. And economic stability, and what's going on in the world that affects our economic stability.
Is it enough to say, I want to generate economic activity? Is it enough to say that?
No.
No.
You have to do something, as the governor did or recently, about like the terroristic threats and things like that, because that hurts our tourism, which hurts our economy overall.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, man. You've taken 3 weeks to be with me. Thank you very much. It's been a long 3 weeks, but it's a great 3 weeks. Different conversations. Thank you very much. Okay?
Thank you.
It's a good night for now. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Buzz Isla 63 about this and whatever topic you want to talk about, whatever tickles your fancy. It's good night for now. Good night.
Closed captioning is brought to you by